Hello, everyone. I'm Vicki Healy at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and welcome to today's webinar, which is co-hosted by the Clean Energy Solutions Center and ISNAD-Africa. Today's topic is ISNAD-Africa MRP program, maximizing the role of a mentor. A few things to know before we begin. For audio, you have two options. You may listen through your computer or over your telephone. If you choose to listen through your computer, please select the mic and speakers option in the audio box. And if you prefer to dial in by phone, select the telephone option, and a box on the right side of your screen will display the telephone number and an audio pin. A gentle reminder to Dami, our panelists, to please mute your audio when you're not presenting. Real quickly, to illustrate the features I just mentioned, to go over them a bit more clearly, we've taken a screenshot of an example of the attendee interface. So you should see something that looks like this in the upper right corner of your screen. If you can submit text questions to Dami by typing your questions into the questions panel, and you can send your questions in at any time. I will collect these and moderate the Q&A session where Dami will provide her responses to your questions. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dami Pikura. Dami is the program manager at ISNAD-Africa and is the founding program manager of the Mentoring for Research program. She is also a doctoral candidate in the Department of Chemical Engineering at McGill University in Canada, where her research focuses on the effects of plastic pollution on the aquatic environment. As mentioned following Dami's presentation, we will have a question and answer session where she will address the questions that you submit, and we will have the pleasure of hearing final comments from the Executive Director of ISNAD-Africa, Adedoyin Adeleke. And with that introduction complete, Dami, I will now give the presentation over to you. So give me one moment to change presenter mode. And you can begin at any time.
Thank you very much, Vicki, for the kind introduction and for your continued support to our team and the program. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly, and your slides are showing perfectly as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you very much for your support and for the kind introduction. Hello, everyone. I should say good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. I figure that there's probably no one here who is in the morning. So today's presentation is on the ISNAD-Africa MRP program, maximizing the role of a mentor. So as we have put in the invitation, this is a more internal webinar and it's focused primarily on the MRP program. So we expect that our participants today are mainly the incoming mentees of the 2020 cohort, our team members, and then also some of our current mentees who may want to refresh their memories on the program. So whichever category you fall into, you're very welcome. And I hope that you have a pleasant time today. So, okay, I am having trouble moving to the next slide. So I want to assume that all of us or some of us are already familiar with the situation in Africa and how much of natural resources we have. And in the words of our executive director, I will say that Africa is too rich to be poor. We have abundant natural resources, and yet we are still in the lowest development index across the world. In fact, sub-Saharan Africa is the most electricity poor region in the world. So what do we do? Another area is the teaching and the research sector. We know that part there's still limitations in innovation and creativity, and that is what we hope to address, one of the goals of ISNAD-Africa. So as most of you are familiar with ISNAD-Africa and what we do, we're a Pan-African organization that operates a global and multi-stakeholder network. We have about 120 members from over 72 countries as at today. And we have international organizations that are also partners with us. And some of the things we hope to address is increase environmental literacy, to stimulate and promote innovations, to bridge the gap between education, research, policy, and practice, especially through the mentoring and research program. So the Mentoring for Research program is one of the initiatives of the ISNAD-Africa, and it targets supporting graduate students whose research aligns with their thematic areas. I believe that most of you are already familiar with what MRP is and what we do, but just to reiterate, we get mentors from professionals who are professionals or professors from various walks of life, the industry, the academia, think tanks, government, international organizations, and then we bring them together to support research students in Africa to make their research industry relevant and problem solving. Another thing that we should mention is that we try, where possible, to support the mentees on fellowships and travel grants. So that's something I will talk about shortly. So when we talk about the relevance of the program, as you can see here, we have no doubt that the program is relevant, and this is evident in the number of applications we receive annually since we started in 2017. We have over 300 applications on average annually. We have here you can see a daily traffic of people who visit our website and the program website. You can see here, these are not numbers that we generate ourselves, these are numbers that are automated on the website. And if you visit our website today, there's something at the bottom where you're going to see the number of visitors we have. We've had visitors from over 198 countries in the world. I'm not sure of how many countries we have in total, but I think we're close to being calling ourselves that we are a global organization. So thanks to you for that. Thanks to all our network and everyone who supports us. We believe that this program is of global relevance and it addresses a major problem. So so far we have had the MRP, we have had the operations, we had a cohort, MRP 2018. We also have the MRP 2019. And right now the incoming cohorts will make the MRP 2020 batch. So what do we say about the program today? We have a few past success stories. We have mentees who have co-authored papers with their mentors. We have mentees who have co-authored book chapters. We have mentees who have been invited to write book chapters with their with their mentors. We also have some who have benefited from software licenses that they need for their research. We have the opportunity to sponsor two persons to CIPSEM. It's a short-term course in Germany, a 1-month full sponsored fellowship. We also have a mentee who was able to get a sponsorship to a conference through the support of the mentor. And we also have a few mentees who have been privileged to join our MRP team. So let me say, I think I put something here at the bottom in red, that these are not, these are success stories. Every mentoring relationship is unique. And as such, most of these opportunities or success stories are unique to individuals, and it depends on the availability of such collaboration opportunities. It depends on your research area. It depends on your mentor, and also, importantly, it depends on your performance on the program, which we will talk about shortly. So here's a picture of Enoch and Enoch Besa Nate. That was I believe in 2018 in Dresden in Germany, where they had a short course at fellowship. And here's a picture of I shouldn't go back. So here at the bottom is a picture of Philip Omenge. He's one of our mentees as well, and he received a sponsorship from his mentor to attend this conference in Spain. believe that was also sometimes last. So, so MRP, having done that, today's orientation is, we should go into that properly. I want to clarify that we don't see it as just the mentees. It's something you have to do. We see it as, we have I call it a kind of triangle here. We have the MRP team, and we have the MRP mentors, and then we have the MRP mentees. And of course, the webinar today, or the orientation today, is targeted at the MRP mentees, but I would also briefly talk about the other two parts, that is the team, MRP team, what they do, and the MRP mentors, what they do. So I think I'll start, no, this is the one that I put first. I will start by acknowledging the amazing persons who are behind the scenes for the success of the program over the past 3 years. Currently we're a team of 12 persons from 10 countries around the world. These are the people that handle the emails, that handle the publicity, the application processing, seeking and managing mentors. And we also have other persons and other teams at ISNAD-Africa who support us. We have the ICT team, and then we have the communications, we have the translation. I also want to acknowledge them. So when we call ourselves the MRP team, what do we do? And here's an overview of the basic things we do. We are the one that seek the mentors. We are the one that find mentors for the program. We are the one that handles the MRP, the application. Also, we seek support from other stakeholders for that. And then we do basically the email exchange and the connection of the students to the mentors. And the most importantly is the last one. We follow up with every mentee. We have an MRP buddy system. So once you're assigned a mentor, we have another person on our team who is going to be your buddy and is assigned to you to follow you up. It's buddy is I believe is an English word. It means a friend. So we just want to be your friend, and we hope that you can see us as friends and communicate with us, and see us as being there to provide any support you might need during your participation in the program. So the next one will be, let's talk about our mentors. I believe that some of you must have visited this website at one point or the other in your application process. Right now, we have over 130 mentors from over 50 countries. And this includes people from various walks and various top organizations. We have people from Harvard, from UCL, from IPCC, from WWF, Chatham House. We have IRENA, we have Yale University, we have FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. And these numbers keep increasing. This is what we have so far. So the last time we did collation, but we continually make efforts to increase the mentors that are available on the program. So one key thing that I think it's important for us to talk about is what the mentors do. So as you're all aware, these mentors are to provide technical support for your research. So it means that you at some point, or one of the things that probably is important at this point is that you have a research topic, you have your research objectives already, you have your methodologies, and irrespective of whichever point you are in your research, these people, the mentor is to guide you and make sure that you are taking the right path to achieve the objective of the program, which is to make sure that you, at the end of your thesis, at the end of your research, it is something that's industrial relevant and also problem solving. We at ISNAD-Africa, we believe that our research or whatever thesis we'll do should not just end in a folder or in a file somewhere in a computer or on a shelf in the department. It should be addressing a problem that is relevant to the society, whether policy making or even on the community. So we believe that this is where the support of the mentors come in. These people, they have international experience in this field. And also we know one of the questions we receive is that my mentor is based in the USA, his research experience in the USA. We believe that no matter where these mentors are working, their experience is still useful. You can adapt the experience on how you can solve your own problem or your research problem or objective in Africa. And I put something in red here. I want to mention that we should understand and respect that every mentoring experience is unique. And so no two mentors are the same. You have to understand that from the beginning, and you have to respect the uniqueness of your mentor, be it in the mode of communication or in the speed of response or in how they respond to you or in the areas they target. You should understand that it's gonna be baseless to compare that my friend's mentor does this and my mentor doesn't do that. These are people that are from different parts of the world. They don't know themselves. They only meet, and the only thing that brings them together is participation in MRP. So there is no basis for us to compare that all mentors must relate with mentees in the exact same way. So that brings me to why we are here today. As an MRP mentee, what do you have to do? So it's a kind of it's an inexhaustible list, but I will try, and I believe that we have covered most of these topics in the handbook, which we are made available to everyone. The handbook is available online. I hope you all had the chance to go through that, but I will highlight again the main points in this slide and the next slide. So I think the first thing is to understand the scope of the program. So when I say you understand the scope, know why you're here, know what you want to get here. The primary goal of this program is not for your mentor to provide financial support. And please keep in mind that everything I will say at this point moving forward in this presentation, they are basically based on our experience in the program over the past 3 years now. So when I say that don't ask your mentor for financial support, it's something we've seen before. That's why we are mentioning it now. Some of you might think that, oh, we already know that, but I think that it's important that we mention it again. So understand that every support that you get from your mentor is something that they can provide remotely, which is basically what the program is about. And then the next point is that in the beginning, set your goals. Make it clear to your mentor what you want, where you are. We always advise, and again, I say that we have all of these details in the mentoring handbook, but we believe that we should iterate the key or the major points here in this presentation today. So in the beginning, we think it's important if you are targeting having 3 manuscripts from your research, a PhD student, let your professor, let your mentor know at the beginning, this is where I am at. If you are still on your methodology, let your mentor know, I need your help in fine-tuning my research objectives. I need your help. The mentor can only assist as much as what you let them know or the areas that you seek help on. And the next point here is to be professional in the communication. I believe that we cannot emphasize this enough. This is probably the most important factor that determines your success in the program because it's remote. So basically, everything that happens between you and your mentor is basically via email or sometimes Skype meetings and Zoom meetings, as the case may be. But email is a very crucial part. If need be, if you think it's necessary, try to improve your communication skills. Read emails or study emails from international organizations or experienced individuals. And then keep in mind that your email represents who you are. And then you are not seeing this person, or the person is not seeing you. You want your email to portray you not as somebody that is arrogant or as rude or as unprofessional, because it's the image from your email that the email you write that creates the impression or the image of who you are to whoever is reading it. So we always encourage that if you think you need to, please improve your email writing skills. That's very important to us. And I will show a couple of slides later to show you some examples of what we have received and why we should why we're worried about it, and why we always emphasize it in our presentations. So the next point here is communicate regularly with your mentor. You cannot benefit from your mentor if you don't communicate. We try as much as we can not to set standards like every week or every 2 weeks or every day. Of course, that's almost impossible. But as much as you can, keep your mentor engaged. That's crucial because he or she can only help you as much as he knows what's going on with you. And then one thing we observe in the program is that there are so many people. You say you don't have results. There's so many students, oh, I didn't communicate with him because I didn't have any results yet. Just say hello to him or her. I don't know, I'm using him all this. Pardon me, I'm a woman, so I am not, so I'm not being non-feminist. So try as much as you can to let your mentor know what's going on with you. I understand that. I will encourage at least 2 weeks is very good, but at least not later than once a month. Even if you don't have updates for him, just say hello to him or her. Just let him or her know what is going on with you, where you are. If you are still doing your analysis, if you have to do some literature review, they might be helpful. If you say you're doing your literature review, perhaps he or she can just send you an email and say, oh, you might find this paper helpful. You might find this article helpful. You know, and then the longer you stay without communicating with him or her, there's a tendency that he or she just forgets about you. You know, we're all human beings, and these people, they have other engagements. One of the things that the primary thing about our mentors is that they're very successful people. And as you will agree with me, successful people are very busy too. So don't assume that you are the only one that he or she is thinking about. So if you are not, if you just disappear for a month or two and then you come back and send an email, you know, he has already lost that, he might have already lost that, the zeal he had at the beginning. So make sure that you continually show him that you are interested in your research and you need him and you appreciate him. So that takes me, another point is that keep your institutional supervisor in the loop. Some have questioned whether we usually recommend that your supervisor be in copy in every email that you exchange with your mentor, and that we are also trying to communicate to the supervisors along that direction. But we believe that all of you know better what your supervisor would prefer. So, but if your supervisor would not want to be copied in every email, please communicate that with us once you are linked. But that's the basic standard. That's what we try to do. But either way, keep your supervisor in the loop. Let him or she know what your mentor is doing, what you're communicating with your mentor, how your mentor is supporting you. I should mention it's important at this point that you understand that the mentor is not to take the place of your supervisor. We understand that you have an institutional-based supervisor, and I think that's probably one of the criteria, one of the main criteria on this program. But as much as the mentor is trying to support you, we are not saying that you shift your attention from your supervisor and then turn to your mentor completely. And we hope that you're able to manage this. And like I said, the mentors also understand that you have an institutional-based supervisor. So the support they are supposed to provide is complementary. So we would like to keep it that way. And then the last thing I haven't mentioned is that be proactive. Do not wait until you have big results. I have mentioned that. Keep your mentor updated, and that's something you should do also with your institutional-based supervisor, I would assume. And then show your mentor, yeah, that's the final point I'm making here on the slide. Let your mentor know that you are interested in your research. You have the passion for what you're doing. And when they see that, whoever the mentor is, he will be more motivated as well to support and to contribute to whatever you're doing. So that takes me to my next slide. Yeah, I say I was going to show some sample emails that we have received. It's a very long list. I will just show some representative ones. I mean, this is an email we sent to somebody. There was, and then we received this response. You can see it in red. Are you kidding? This email continues to amaze me anytime I see it. I mean, this is not Twitter. This is not Facebook. You don't send this in a professional email. Are you kidding? And then there's an exclamation mark. In principle, we expect that every email you send to us or you send to your mentor be as professional as possible. There has to be a greeting, there has to be a hello, how are you doing? And then followed by whatever you're trying to communicate. This in one word is unacceptable. We do not accept this form of communication either with our team or with your mentors. I think the second email I'm going to show here is there we had a webinar. I showed the date here, and then somebody said that are there any special reasons why the webinar is on Saturday? Some of us are staunch Adventists. So basically, this person is telling us that he's an Adventist and he doesn't do anything on Saturday. But then the point I want to make here is that respect the diversity in the team, in the group you're working with. Respect the diversity, the difference in culture, in religion, with your mentor, with your mentee, with your team, with the MRP. We don't. I don't think. I don't even think a mentor might understand what this means, or our team, but we will say that just respect the cultural difference and try to understand that you're working with an international person from a different. So if your mentor is available on a Saturday for a meeting, and I mean, I would think that you should try and make yourself available too, but of course we respect your religion. If that is not convenient for you, you can just simply say it's not convenient, but don't be offended that a mentor is asking you to meet or talk to you on a Saturday or on a Sunday. It's what is available, and if it's not convenient for you, just politely tell him or her and suggest another date. And then I have other samples here. I think I won't go too much into samples, but I feel that I use a formal email address. So this is not something that some of us consider important, but one of the basic things, especially with these mentors that use their organization emails, I will tell you for a fact that this email, if you use an email address like this, there's a very high tendency that it just goes into junk, and the mentor is never going to see it. And I would say, if at this point you still have an email address that is not formal, it's free, I believe. So try and create a formal email address. Although right now, whatever communication we are having with you is based on the email address we have in your record. So if you have to change the email address, please communicate with our team and let us know that you have changed your email address. But yeah, if you think at this point that you have an email address that is not professional, there are some people that they just these people receive hundreds of emails a day, and then they are trying to search for your name and your email, and they are not even sure, because if my name is Dami, and I want an email address that when he searches for Dami on his computer, on his email, he or she, it's going to bring out my email address. So this doesn't, I mean, there's nobody bearing baby or fall love, I don't know, but this is just an example. And then pay attention to details. This might look like a very not very important, but we have received complaints from mentors who told us that the mentee keeps typing my name wrong. You know, this is my name. This is an email that was sent to me. My name is not Pikula. My name is Pikuda. But you know, if somebody is receiving email from you for the first time or even for the 100th time, and you did not show the courtesy of putting the name correctly, it's a very big turnoff. I mean, if such a person sees the email and the first thing he notices is that his or her name was spelled incorrectly, he might not even be motivated to even read further and see what you have to say. So please, we have received some comments like this from mentors, and repeatedly mentees it's a copy and paste thing. If you are not familiar with it, just copy and paste, you know, we don't want you writing emails to our mentors and putting their name wrongly, at least for a start. Make an effort to understand the name and to spell it correctly. So, yeah, and this is another thing. This is another email I received. It says best regards. Obviously, I know the person meant best regards, but these are mistakes that we get to a level that we don't expect this kind of mistakes from you. We don't expect this kind of from ourselves. Always double check your emails and make sure that you write them correctly. And then I will also, I think I should also mention that all these mentors are volunteering. They are not getting paid. Everyone on our team is not getting paid. So be patient with them when they don't respond to you a few days. Give them time to respond. And when you want to send a reminder, be very polite about it. So yeah, so that is that about your role as a mentee on the program. Like I said, it's inexhaustible. I recommend, if you haven't done so, that you read the MRP handbook. You read it, and if you have any question, what we assume today is that I want to assume that everyone has read it, and then you'll be asking us questions based on the content. But if you have not done so, you can still take time and read it after this presentation. And if you have any comments, please send us an email, preferably at mrp@isnadafrica.org, and we will respond to your email. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the performance assessment of the program. Once everyone is linked, once you're linked to your mentor, there's a probatory period of 3 months. We follow up. We follow up on how you communicate with your mentor, the frequency, and then if the performance is satisfactory, of course, you continue. If not, we can make efforts to dismiss. There's also, we have the biannual one-page PDF report. We receive that. We ask for that from our mentees every year. Twice a year, we ask for a progress report on how you're doing. And then we also monitor the frequency of your email with your mentor. In the next slide, I will show every communication with your mentor, we have to be in copy, because that is one way, that's one of the ways that we assess the impact of a program and we monitor your progress. So after 3 months, if there are no, or even after the 3 months, of course, we'll continue. And if after the 3 months, if there are poor performance, we can give official warning. We can contact you or follow up to ask you what is going on. And in some cases, that it might result in dismissal from the program to make the space available for another person. So we're getting to the end of my presentation. Now that you have a mentor, like I said today, we are assuming that everyone here has already been offered admission into the program or will be offered admission shortly. So once you have a mentor, what is next? So we will send a mentoring agreement form over the next few days for those that have a mentor already. And those that do not, we will send it once you have a mentor. We hope that will not take too long. So we send you the mentoring agreement form to sign. You sign that and you send back to us. And then we introduce you formally to your mentor. And then we always say that even before we introduce you to your mentor, please do not make any attempt to contact your mentor on your own. Most of them will not respond to you, that most likely, and they will inform us, and that might result in your dismissal from the program. So please do not contact them. Wait for us to make the official introduction. We will introduce you to him or her, and then you will begin your communication afterward. So once you commence communication with your mentor, don't forget to keep your supervisor in the loop. That's very important. And this is the email address that we will be using. So once we link you, we will put this email in copy, of course, and every communication between you and your mentor, we want this email to be in copy. And so yeah, the last one here is about buddy. We have, I mentioned that earlier, and it's also in the handbook. We have something we call the MRP buddy system. So every mentee on the program is assigned a buddy. The buddy is a member of our team. So the buddy will be the one following you up, contacting you from time to time to check how you're doing and check on your progress in the program. And also, if you have any questions, your buddy is going to be your first contact. It's like an informal communication, whatever form that is comfortable with you and him or her. So once you're linked with your mentor, we will communicate that to you as well. The buddy will contact you. And I think that brings me to the end. So we have a 5-minute second year impact video that we would like to watch, but maybe do that after the questions. I don't know how much time we have. Vicky, what do you think?
Dami, go ahead and show your video. I think it would be good to see now.
The volume.
Not able to hear the audio that goes with the video.
Thank you very much. So that comes to the end of my presentation. Over to you, Vicky.
Thank you, Dami. Just a quick note, while it was actually an interesting video, even without the audio, we were not able to hear it. So when I send out a follow-on email to all of the attendees and those that registered, we'll include a link to that YouTube video so that you can go back and watch and listen to it at your convenience. So we'll be sure to include that. But Dami, thank you so much for that great presentation. It was super interesting and filled with a lot of information that is very helpful. So thank you for that. And we do have some questions that have come in if you that I'd like to present to you at this time. So if you're ready, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, super. Okay. This one came in early and you may have, I feel you addressed part of this, but just to recap this, the question that came in is, what are the roles of the supervisors, the professor supervisors? And have they given you any feedback on the value and benefits that they receive by participating as a supervisor in the program?
Okay, so that's a two-in-one question. I will start by asking, what is the role of the supervisor? Basically, everyone coming in, like I said, one of the requirements is that we expect that you have a supervisor on ground in your home-based institution who is the primary person on the project. So the role of the supervisor is still your primary, the primary person on the project now. And we see our mentors as more like external supervisors, if I may put it that way. So we have been receiving some really good comments and feedback from the supervisors. We have, for example, a mentee that is writing almost 4 papers at the same time with a mentor and the supervisor. And we have seen instances where the supervisor is actually always part of the meetings with the student. It's more like they have turned it into a collaboration whereby the student and the supervisor and the mentor all meet together and discuss the student's project. So yes, we have been, and we also, just like we do regularly, we have surveys that we send regularly to the students, to the mentors, to the supervisors to ask for the feedbacks. And that we have also been receiving significant positive comments on that. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks so much. Here's a good question. How do you reconcile the supervisor's comments and the mentor's comments if they come in and they differ significantly? How do you sort of reconcile those differences?
Okay, so that's one of the things that I mentioned during my presentation. But so I'll say it again. So what we do is that we are not asking the mentor to take over the role of your primary supervisor. What we want to achieve with the program is a kind of complementary effort. So, and that is why I mentioned several times that you also always keep your mentor and the supervisor, keep them in the loop in communication so that when you receive, both of them are doing their best to support you in the best way they can. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you keep both of them in the loop so that they can be, when there appears to be conflict of interest, you can be able to address it and make it communicate it to both of them in the best way possible professionally, and then both parties will we hope that they will reach a consensus. And I was going to say that Adebayo is part of those. I will be answering questions. So maybe I can start with my comments, and then for questions, I don't know if you're here, you can also add your responses. I figure that will help a little bit.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first question about the role of mentor, what keeps the mentor happy, is the fact that, first of all, let me appreciate you for the very excellent presentation, and particularly for showing examples of some of the emails that we've got that really was disturbing, really. Like she said, it's very, very important that you know how to write good emails. I would have given you examples, but there is no time. Now, about the role of the mentor, I think she has cleared that in from the presentation. So I'll just go to the second leg of that question, which is the fact is about what makes the mentor happy. One is that they are satisfied by the interaction with the students. That is very key. A mentor never knew any of the students before he signed in to be part of the program. So he personally have coined some things that makes him happy about the program. Many of them are self-satisfaction. Many of them are well-accomplished people that even if we're to pay, we cannot afford to pay them. So they just want to assist. That's number one. Number two, as you will see in the document, one of the documents they're going to send to you later on is that a way to appreciate them, we have coined in a way that when you publish your paper, as far as the contributors to the paper, make them a co-author. That is very key. Even the most accomplished person in the world, when you put him in a paper, he feels very appreciated. So those are three ways you can appreciate them. One, which is key, is your level of engagement with them. He has a meeting with you, both of you agreed for the time. And maybe I'll come back to some of a few comments later on. Mentors will not impose a time on you. Usually they ask for time or they suggest time. So both of you will agree on the time. If both of you agree on the time, you are there in time. So so your quality of engagement with them. Number two is what's it called? The last one I mentioned was sorry, I skipped something now. Number one is the quality of engagement with them. Number two is the publication. As you're writing, you put their name as far as the contributor to it. I think this will help a lot. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ade, and to Dami, thanks to both of you for that. Just checking here. So here's a good question. It's coming from someone asking for someone who has not had a mentor before, any sort of previous experience with that. What advice can you give in order to maximize the communication and have a healthy relationship with the mentor?
Sorry. Okay, Dana, speak on.
Okay, so I was going to say that we have identified that, and the truth is that resources that are available always focus on how to be a successful mentor and rather than a mentee. So we have put together various resources in the mentoring handbook, and I believe that I covered that much in the presentation, but I will say that be open, engage your mentor, let him know, let him see why he should be interested in you. Let him see, let him have a justifiable reason for spending so much time committing to your research. So I would advise everyone once again, if you have not read the mentoring handbook, please go over it one more time. And if you have read it, go over it again. But there, as resources, there are so many resources available online that you can read to help you on how to be a successful mentee. And we are always here to support you if you have any specific questions. Other you can add to that. Sorry,
No, I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect. That's very perfect. Yeah.
Okay, super good. Thanks. Here's a question. My supervisor asked me to write my story about ISNAD-Africa and the MRP for posting on our department website. And of course, this person has yet to know who their mentor is. So the question is, would it be appropriate to go ahead and start drafting this assignment, or should that wait until after the mentor's been assigned and they've had some engagement on the project?
Then do you want to answer that?
No, I mean, don't worry, you can answer. Well, anyone I want to make comments, I will just signify. I
Okay.
think I answered.
Okay. Okay, so about that, I will say that the person can go ahead and make such publication, but of course, there's no we wouldn't expect that there's a particular mentor already, so there won't be a name of a mentor, I want to assume. And if you want to wait until you're assigned to a mentor, I think that's equally good. But we don't have a problem with you making publications about ISNAD-Africa. And if you are not sure about the content, you can contact us and share your draft with us if you want us to check if the content is appropriate. And if we have any comments or anything, we can always provide you feedback.
Yeah, that's just perfect. And don't be, I mean, I can understand where why the question was coming actually. Don't be afraid. You're part of the organization. You identify with the organization. So if even you're in a conference, if you have to speak and mention that you're part of ISNAD-Africa, you are indeed part. You are one of the reasons why we are here. So no problem. Sharing on social media, on Facebook, it's okay. If you want to write, you can write and then send to us. We can review and probably add to her to it. It's okay. We're not against that at all. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Next question. Is it possible to share with the mentees the software licenses for research that you have already done or already have?
Okay. That question is coming from some of the success stories that I shared. So like I mentioned as a disclaimer under that, the benefits that mentees receive program are very unique depending on your research topic and depending on your mentor and depending on the opportunities that are available. So in those specific cases, the mentor has a example. Let me paint the picture. The mentor has a research the mentor
Inventor.
has a license that
It's an inventor.
helpful to the mentee, and then he or she gives the mentee a license for that software. So we don't have a bank of softwares with us at ISNAD-Africa, but we hope that if a need arises, the mentors, if they have the capacity, they support students in that regard.
Sorry, let me add quickly to that. The thing is this, what you're getting, and I love the way she put it during the presentation, what you're getting is the soft skill. I mean, is the technical capacity from the program. However, there could be possibility of other opportunities. For instance, I don't know whether she, maybe she missed this in the presentation. There have been a student who was so impressive, and this is not about asking. When you ask, we send out of the program actually. But there are students that have so much impressed their mentors to the level that the mentor went ahead, got a grant for the students from his own university in Canada that supported the students to travel from Kenya to Spain for a conference, to and fro. There's also a case of a student who the mentor, we have, like we said, some of the mentors, one of the things that qualify the mentors to be there is that they are very high profile. One of the mentors that we have is one of the persons that designed the most globally distributed renewable energy software in the world. Now, because he has a student who was doing a research on this, I said, fine, instead of selling to you, I won't sell to you, I'll give it to you free of charge. So that's what she meant by complementary support that might come. Those ones are not sure. That might come depends on the relationship and the kind of mentor. Maybe I should just add this quickly, that along the line, we have partnerships and we are growing in partnerships with diverse organizations. Annually, we are privileged to be able to nominate people for international fellowship, fully sponsored to Europe, and they're even paid. They stay there for 1 month. So, but when we are selecting for such, there are a number of criteria which we consider. You apply online, and then we consider very critically adherence to the rules of the game. How well you've been responding to your mentor, all the tips that she has given. I think this will be a good input at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. I've had a question from one of our attendees regarding he or she is trying to contact their mentor and has not received a response. I'm sorry, supervisor, not mentor, excuse me, has tried to be in contact with their supervisor for over a month, but has not received a response from the supervisor yet. And, you know, with all of the issues right now with COVID and such, that could be a factor. But in this case, when they're not hearing back from their supervisors, are there other ways to contact them to make sure they're still assigned to them and to the program? What would you suggest?
I want to assume that that person is talking in line of some of the documents that we might require from the supervisors. So if that is the case, we usually, you have to contact us via email and let us know. For example, if we need a reference from your supervisor and he has not responded to you and has not responded to us, you can let us know. And once it becomes available, you also inform us. But if that is not the case, if it's about regular communication with your supervisor, I am not sure that's a prediction. So we will only hope that you're able to contact him or her and resolve whatever the problem is.
And I assume that would be the same case with a mentor. The same.
For the mentor, because it's our program, the mentor, we have a responsibility on that. So if problem with communicating with your mentor, you let us know, and that's why we have the MRP buddy. We have somebody that's following you up. You can always let your buddy know that your mentor has not been responsive. We have a protocol that we follow to address such cases. However, we always keep in mind that our mentors are volunteers, and there are times that their schedule might get really hectic and crazy for a week or two that they might not be available. And that we always advise that you give some time to send a reminder if they don't respond to your email. And after 1 or 2 reminders, you let us know and we'll take it up from there. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That sounded great. And Dami, this kind of goes back into Ade, both for your advice on email protocol and proper procedures. We have someone asking if it would be appropriate that if they included in their email signature that they are an ISNAD-Africa 2020 mentee. So would that be acceptable to include?
Very acceptable. Perfect.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Super. Yeah, great.
Feel free, if you want to put it on your Facebook, if you want to put it on your LinkedIn, no problem. Talk about the program. We're happy about it. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a good thing, right? So anyway, that's great. Let's see. Here's a question about the program you mentioned in Germany. Is the program in Germany only for sustainable energy, or does it depend? Is it more dependent on a specific topic? So what's the criteria for selection for that particular program?
Okay. I think let me respond to that. Basically, it's a privilege we got based on relationship over the years, and the center does various programs. They've been on grant for I think 40 years. So they do various programs annually. The topic differs. In 2018, the guys that went, the topic was for renewable energy and energy efficiency. I think this year there is on water, right, Dami? This year there is on mobility and water.
Water, and there's environmental management, and there's water resource management, I think.
So the program differs, but it's still within. Why we are collaborating with them and why they love our program is because we are within the same context. So everything they do everything about the environment. We also do everything about the environment. So when the call annually comes out, and then we ask, because all people that are selected will be asked to apply. We will nominate people. And then depends on how the program, the agreement, because annually we have to have meeting with them to review. So for instance, all of them might have to apply while we send in our recommendation internally, or we might just have to just communicate those ones who we review internally first and see the best. Actually, the nomination is for the best performing mentees. That is the primary goal. Is for the best performing mentees. And first of all, we check your suitability for the program. If you're somebody that work on renewable energy and they're doing program on water, I think it will not be appropriate that you apply. But they run more than one program in a year. So you might just wait a bit and apply for other one. So apart from that, I mean, that will be the relevance of your career history and academics with the objective of the program. And secondly, the performance on the program, which is based on everything Dami has presented. Thank you.
Perfect. Ade, thank you so much for that. Very well explained. Dami, could you review again the timeline for mentors to be assigned to their mentees? We have a question from someone stating that they have not yet been assigned their mentor and just wanted to understand when that could happen.
Thank you very much for that. I believe that I sent out an email to everyone earlier in the week about that. So because we have a timeline that we work with on the program, especially for this year, our calendar with our stakeholders is that we should start linking in May. That's tomorrow, right? So what we have done is that those that we have already assigned the mentors, we have begun to contact them and inform them that they have been assigned, and some of them have already accepted offer of admission. But I also mentioned that this process is ongoing. For all our shortlisted applicants, we are doing the best we can to make sure that everyone gets assigned a mentor. So please be patient with us. If you are here today, it means we are interested in you, and we want to do our best to make sure that you get a mentor assigned to you soon.
Super, great. Thank you so much. Here's, I think, an easy question, and information may have already been shared, but just in case, at the end of the mentorship period, are mentees given certificates or some sort of attestations of the mentorship that they've been in the program and completed it successfully?
Yes, there will be a certificate at the end for those who complete the mentoring program. And by complete, we mean that they are part of us until they submit their thesis, which is like the final, the closing point of the mentoring program. But yes, there are certificates for them.
Okay, great, thank you. I have a rather long question here. I'm not quite sure how to frame it, so I'll just go ahead and read the entire question, and then maybe we can break it into parts that are a little more manageable. And first of all, this attendee is thanking you very much for having this terrific program for African students and their research work. So they're very thankful for that. But they are asking, as we all know, one of the major problems we have in our various higher institutions in Africa is the inability to commiserate theory with practical exposure. And then goes on to say or ask, how is it intended to address this gap through this platform? And to be more specific in terms of providing on-site opportunities for the top performers, which you mentioned, Dami, in your presentation, to gain practical skills in line with the focus areas, e.g. renewable energy, climate change, and environment within this program. And that was very long, so if you need me to repeat any of that, please let me know.
No, I think it's fine. I think that question is beyond my paycheck. Mr. Adesina, do you answer that?
All right. I think it's fine. Number one is, I mean, it's one of the objectives of the program. If you have probably read, I am sure that in the handbook you have, there are some words that will be recurring. You see that we support industry relevant and policy oriented research. So actually the mentoring program that you have today is a 3-in-1 program. Up to now, we have only implemented one. The first phase, the first of it is the mentoring itself. The second is that we actually intend to be able to give mentees some little funding for them to conceptualize an idea about the environment, about energy, that they can use to solve a little problem in their community. And the third one is that after the completion of every mentoring year, we intend to gather the students into a symposium where we look at, not a conference, where we look at the outcome of your research, and would have asked you, apart from your supervisor, who else within your context, either your country, your sector, do you think will be interested in reading this? And you give us like 4 names and we invite them. And then you present your research to them. And the reason is that we want to facilitate the uptake of the findings of your research. And that could also provide you a job, for instance. It could provide opportunity for PhD and all of that, consultancy. But I must be sincere with you that we are working towards it. There are a lot of communication with international organizations to support this. We're able to start this because we were able to start with nothing. And like Dami said, we started with nothing, basically, and we have been growing thereby, where you might be surprised to realize that all of us are PhD students ourselves. So myself and Dami. So we started with nothing, and we have had interaction with a lot of international organizations to support all of these, and we're getting some response, but we don't know when this will come to fruition. But in the meanwhile, we have a strategy we are bringing on this year to see that this, even if we're not able to bring you together in a symposium, I hope we are able, even if we're not able, we'll still be able to assist you to assess your political decision makers and industrialists in your country. So let's proceed on the program and we'll see, but we have a strategy on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Ade. I think here's a question I think that is pretty simple to answer. Is it possible or permissible to discuss research results that have already been achieved with the mentor before the mentoring period actually begins?
Sorry, I realized I was on mute. So if you mean talking about results that you have achieved before the mentoring, I think I believe it's important because it helps the mentor to know where you're coming from, and it helps to set a baseline for where you're going and how he or she can be of assistance to the research. So I would think yes.
Definitely yes, actually. It's good.
Okay,
it's good to have a good start. Let him know where you are, what you have achieved, and what else you want to achieve.
And Vicky, if you permit me, I received some questions via email.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
How much time we have left? I would just want to maybe one or two of them.
Okay, please.
So, thank you. So the first one is asking if a mentor can continue with the mentorship and guidance beyond the academic targets of graduation. Can he or she guide to publish my research or support to develop it into a prototype? So again, this is something that I mentioned in the handbook, but I would explain that again here for clarity. So normally, one thing about mentorship is that it depends. Like I said, it's unique. It depends on how you and your mentor were able to relate. But generally on the program, the mentoring officially ends when you submit your thesis. However, when you relate to outputs of the research, of course, there can be continued collaboration. For example, we have had people who have graduated, we have received their certificates and everything, and they are still communicating with their mentor, they are still publishing or writing book chapters together. And also I'm aware of some cases where the mentor is even supporting the student in other areas that are outside the scope. So once again, I will say that it depends. When we close the program and tell you and send you a certificate, it is to tell you that it is no longer mandatory. The mentor is no longer any obligation to be of support. But of course, if you have had a good relationship over time, they can always continue to support you. So do you want me to move to the next question, Vicky?
Oh, sure. If you have questions that came in through email, feel free to do so. And just one more thing, if we run out of time before all questions are able to be answered, then Dami and Ade can follow up with you individually to provide answers to questions that we may just not have enough time to get to. So Dami, back over to you.
Yes, I will just take one more question from my end. I believe that we will cover whatever question that we're not able to cover, we will respond to them. We'll compile them and respond to them via email. So let me just take one more question that came via email. So it's asking me about basically about communication skills. It's a pretty long question. How do I beg to differ with my mentor's comments without sounding rude? How can a mentor fill the knowledge gap that my supervisor may have? Can a mentee follow mentors' published research for reference? I am not sure if my email is professional. When communicating with assigned buddy, must I copy MRP? So some of these questions are things we have addressed in the earlier questions or presentation. But about your assigned buddy, I believe that everybody, MRP buddy is here at this presentation today. You do not need to copy the MRP emails when you're communicating with them. The purpose of the buddy is for them to be your friend. And the good thing is that most of them are also research graduate students in their respective countries. So we are meant to support, and you are free to communicate with them through whatever platform may be convenient for you without having to bother and copy us on the MRP emails. So about, I want to make sure there are like 5 questions. I want to make sure I touch the key ones. So can a mentor follow can a mentee follow the mentor's published research? Yes, I think so. I don't think there's any law that asks you not to follow research from your mentor or whoever it is, as long as it's relevant to your own research and you cite it properly. So that's a yes. How can a mentor fill the knowledge gap that my supervisor have? I believe that we have mentioned that is one of the primary goals of this program. The first thing is to identify such gaps and see that you communicate them to your mentor. For example, if my supervisor does not have experience in a particular methodology that is relevant, I can discuss that with my mentor and say, excuse me, can you assist me in this particular thing? Because I need it for my research and my supervisor doesn't have the expertise. So yes, you have to just communicate that and find a way that your mentor can assist you to fill such gaps. So about not sounding rude, a mentor, I believe that, like we said, all the mentors on this program are world-class professionals. And one of the things they understand as well is that one good thing, what makes a good mentor is to know that it's not all their advice that has to be taken 100%. So we are not saying that you have to adapt every advice from your mentor. And I think there's actually a disclaimer on that at the end of the handbook. But we are saying that you communicate respectfully and professionally, and then you reason together. You give room for a discussion, and then you communicate together, and you can both reach a compromise. Oh, yeah, that was a long question. I think I answered them all.
I think you got them all. That was perfect. This is one more question, and it's just because it's really simple to answer, I think, and will benefit the entire group. And the question is, would it be possible to have a WhatsApp group for the mentees whereby the mentees can collaborate and communicate with each other and share their research ideas and things like that?
Yes, we have a WhatsApp group that will be dedicated to the mentees, and then we'll have our buddies as well, and then we have moderators on the group. But yes, we have that. So once the onboarding, one of the things that we do after our linkage is that we go through a phase of onboarding process, and one of the things is that we ask for your WhatsApp number, we ask for your profile picture. As some of you may know, we also have a dedicated page on our website where we have the pictures of our mentees and their names and their institution. So we will go through all of that.
Super. Dami, thank you so much. And again, whatever questions we did not have time to answer will be answered individually through email. So apologies that there's never enough time to cover all the questions, but we do try to get to as many as we possibly can. So with that, Dami, thank you, and Ade, so much for, providing such good answers to some very good questions that came in. But now, Ade, I'd like to invite you to give some closing remarks. I'll speak a little bit about you first. As you know, probably, Mr. Adedoyin Adeleke is the founder and executive director of the International Support Network for African Development. Adedoyin is a PhD candidate within the UNESCO Chair in Energy for Sustainable Development at the Polytech Nicode in Milano, Italy. Adedoyin has initiated the Mentoring for Research program, a fantastic program, if I might just add that in, a knowledge transfer and capacity building mechanism that raises global and multi-stakeholder support for students conducting research on sustainable energy, environment, and climate change in African universities. So with those words, Ade, over to you for your final remarks.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Thanks to the Clean Energy Solution Center for this massive support that we have enjoyed over the years, and also to yourself for always being available all the time and sometimes receiving some of the funny emails we get. Yeah. And
always a pleasure.
Thanks to Dami, she's been there over the years and managing some of these things while we engage with stakeholders. And of course, probably the most important set of people on the program and on the webinar today are the students, because if we had opened the call, we had the idea, we have the program, we spent a lot of money, and there's come and apply, and then everybody's saying no, they're not interested, would not have been here. So I think they're the most important. Thank you for joining. What I would just say, you would have seen the presentation, there's no time to make other presentations. The thing, the program has been kind of at least, well, we are growing, but at least with our little experience, I think it's been commended a little. So it means that the program is a little well structured, even though we are still growing. What we usually look out for is the performance of the students. I'll give you two examples. We have supported the students who we selected to benefit from an international program. He was sent abroad, and immediately he came back, he withdrew from the program. He wasn't responding anymore. And for us to get, and there are a number of factors that come into this. For us to get one international partnership, it involves a lot of night work and stress, a lot of meetings. So another student that was provided, the inventor of a major software in the renewable energy sector is one of our mentors, and the mentor provided a software to the students. Since the day the student got that software, the student disappeared. So what we always look for is the performance of the student. And that is why you will see I've been emphasizing that is why we place any other complementary benefit as a reward for performance. So that is what we do. And also to mention that, and this is for a personal self and also assist a requirement of the program, we just don't want to, the least possible way to communicate the outcome of your findings and your years in the university is that you publish. In the academia, there is a language that says that you either publish or perish. So if the best you do out of your research is that you got an A and dust the thesis and drop it somewhere, then you have only gotten an A, no impact, which I'm happy that somebody has raised already, you're interested in it. So we make as a requirement that when you finish your research, you publish your paper in an international journal. And of course, because the mentor contributed, it should be a co-author, and ISNAD-Africa acknowledgement of ISNAD-Africa on the paper. But it's also very, very important for you, because even if you don't end up in the academia, this is something that will last for life. Your thesis submitted in the department usually is not online in Africa, unlike in Europe and America. It's not online, it's just a printed document, and that's all. But if you have your paper, your work published anywhere in the world, 50 years, 60 years, you can always mention it. So with these few words, I want to limit my contribution at this point and say congratulations to those of you that have been shortlisted, and we hope that every other thing will be perfected and you'll be coming on board on the program. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Ade. Those were very nice closing remarks for our attendees today. So with that, I'd like to provide everyone attending a reminder that our fifth and final webinar within this series will be presented on Friday, May 29th, when we will hear from Professor Natalie Tufingji. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but she is with McGill University in Canada, and we'll discuss essential research ethics and communication skills for young researchers. Very important topic. So before we close, I'd like to again extend a very sincere thank you to all of our attendees. We really appreciate the time that you're committing to this program and for your participation. And we hope that you found today's webinar valuable and you're taking away some good information that will be helpful for you. So with that, I just want to send you all good wishes. Please stay safe, be well, and this concludes our webinar.